terror expert Robin Simcox from the Henry Jackson Society. Good evening to you, Robin. You imagine it, and they've had to foil it. So what do you think about these new powers? Necessary?
I think they're necessary. This is obviously, this terrorism threat is more substantial now than it has been for quite some time. The rise of ISIS, everything that's happening in Syria, returning fighters, is making the police and security service very nervous, and these updated legislation is a response to that.
With bin Laden being killed and the threat from al-Qaeda seemingly sort of tailing off, or certainly declining, do you think, was there any complacency at all there?
I actually don't think there was much complacency. I mean, the threat from al-Qaeda seems relatively low compared to ISIS because of the territorial gains it's been getting, but actually there's still a lot of concern about groups like al-Qaeda as well. It's just that ISIS has been an extra component on top of this. The rise of potential lone wolf attackers, the very simple attacks like you saw in Ottawa recently that are hard to stop. These are the kind of things that are getting the security services nervous.
I mean, do we hear too much about what the police and security services are trying to deal with and how they are perhaps struggling?
Well, it's difficult for them here, isn't it? Because there is an accusation that they're not transparent enough in some of their work. All of the disclosures after Edward Snowden, people said there's not enough public consent about the kind of activities they're doing. But of course, if they open up too much, then terrorist groups know much more about our weaknesses. I think there is a lot of concern about our ability to stop the next terrorist attack. People have started using the language of it being inevitable. So that's why I think a lot of these responses today and that the Home Secretary talked about have been trying to place the emphasis on the communities and normal people trying to look out for these kind of things as well.
I mean, you talk about the language of it being inevitable. When they raised the terror threat level, as they did a few months ago, to severe, that means it is a matter of when and not if. Again, how important is it that we and the rest of, well, terrorists as well know that?
Well, the response to the terrorism threat level has gone up and down periodically over the last 10 years or so, and it doesn't always completely go in line with what is due to happen. It sometimes is what has just happened. In this case, I think because of the returning fighters generally from Syria and Iraq, there is a big concern about the small cell type of attack that we saw on Lee Rigby last year in London. And it's a general response to that, really, and that's why people are so nervous, because it looks to be inevitable that this sort of thing will happen again.